What's up everyone, and welcome back to another What If video. This scenario really blew up and you guys seem to like it a lot, so I'm going to keep continuing it. Last time, we covered what might have happened if Master Roshi decided to wish for his youth. Similar to King Piccolo, Roshi decided that maybe wishing for his youth would give him a better life, both as a fighter and as a single man. Being old wasn't really doing him any favors. This actually turned out to be really helpful because soon after, Raditz arrived to Earth, and Roshi proved to be very useful in this fight, as well as Krillin, who's been training with him. With Roshi and Krillin fighting there, they had an easier time taking on Raditz. It was still somewhat of a challenge, but this time, no one ended up dying except for Raditz himself. Now, they prepare for the Saiyan invasion, trying to train in order to fight whoever's going to show up that's apparently more powerful than Raditz. Let's pick up from here. At the end of the last part, I mentioned how Roshi wanted to actually train Gohan. After his rage boost was shown in action against Raditz, they began to realize that Gohan has a lot of potential built up inside of him that can make him a potentially really strong fighter. And of course, Piccolo did want to train him, but with Goku around, that's not going to happen. Goku himself could train Gohan, but Roshi would be better suited for this because he is a teacher and he did show Goku most of what he knows. They know he has a good track record with training people, so Roshi is a solid choice to actually train Gohan. With this now decided, training commences. Gohan arrives at Kame House with Goku and Krillin. And after Goku got some approval from Chi-Chi, Gohan is now ready to begin his training. He's pretty young right now, only 4, so Piccolo's harsh training wouldn't really help ease him into fighting that much. Or so they assume. But what they do know for sure is that this training will be better suited for him. It's a lot less harsh for whatever Piccolo had in store. And they know for a fact that it will be effective. I mean, it worked on Krillin and Goku, so why not Gohan as well? Roshi spends most of his time training with Krillin and Gohan, and Goku is also there for the most part, except sometimes he does sneak off to try and train with Piccolo, since Piccolo's a pretty strong guy and he doesn't want to let that go to waste. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet of training partners, so Goku's going to take a little bit of everything, but he mainly does stick with Roshi, Gohan, and Krillin. And of course this means no King Kai either. Goku's not dead, so he won't be going to King Kai to learn the Spirit Bomb or Kaioken. This is also kind of a good thing, because instead of spending a lot of time on Snake Way running, he'll have all this time spent training rather than running for most of the time, which meant he only got a few months of training on King Kai's planet. Roshi is aware of Gohan's latent potential. He did train Goku after all, and especially after what he saw during the fight with Raditz, he's interested in training this kid. He wonders though, how much of that potential can he draw out? That temporary rage boost that he showed off when he attacked Raditz, that alone was surprisingly enough to injure the Saiyan. So imagine if he could draw that out from Gohan and then some. It'll be interesting to see. Gohan is a bit nervous at first, but the environment is a lot friendlier, plus Goku's there. And the training isn't harsh at all when compared to Piccolo's. Rather than him being dropped in the middle of nowhere, he's on an island with some guys that are really nice to him and his dad, so he knows he's in good hands. They begin to ease him into the training, and they start out by giving him similar training to what Goku and Krillin had as kids. And just to avoid any potential disasters, they remove his tail beforehand. They don't want to see any great apes around here. This training is also very good for Roshi, Krillin, and Goku. They get much stronger as well, but Roshi, he gets more reinvigorated and motivated from this training. He truly begins to feel young again. Whenever he has free time where Gohan's out doing some training, Roshi begins challenging himself and his students way more, trying to see what he's capable of now that he's young again. They practice different techniques, do harsher training, and overall see very good gains. And instead of being on his own with Goku occasionally visiting, Piccolo decides to stop by sometimes and swallows his pride in order to get some more training experience. He's not seeing many gains on his own, so it'd be better to train with these guys. As for the other humans, they're training with Kami and each other on the lookout, trying to get to a higher level before they join Roshi in his more intense training. They see some pretty good gains as well. A few months before the Saiyans arrive, training begins to ramp up. Gohan is a natural at his training, and he's been making very good progress. Goku and Roshi are very impressed, and that potential they saw in him seemed to be accurate. He's grown much stronger than he was before, which is crazy because he's barely 5 years old. Gohan was trained a lot better than he was with Piccolo, and he was trained like Goku was, and he's not scared of a fight anymore, and he knows his own strengths and weaknesses. He was able to pick up on martial arts pretty easily, and learn some different techniques. Not just from Roshi either, of course he does have the Kamehameha, but he learned some from Goku and Krillin as well, and of course some others from Roshi. You know, he's picked up some pretty useful techniques such as the Solar Flare, the Thundershock Surprise, and even the Destructo Disc, which Goku and Roshi have as well. This training not only is good for their powers to increase, but it expands their array of techniques, and now they have a much more versatile range of things to use in battle. And I'll just say this now, Roshi does learn how to fly here. I don't know why we ever saw him learn that in canon, but why not? Goku and Krillin have it, and Gohan does, and of course Roshi's a lot younger here and a lot stronger. I always felt he should have been able to do that in the first place anyways, but we've never seen him do that. But here, yeah, he's going to be able to do that. With training ramping up, Gohan even starts to do more intense training with everyone else, but he of course has to get eased into it first. And the humans begin joining as well. It's basically like a party, a bunch of people training to be the best they can be. With the 1 year nearing its end, let's actually talk about their power levels right now, since that's kind of relevant at this part in the story. Goku's at the top with a power level of about 6,000. You might think that's kind of high because with King Kai, he got to about over 8,000, not including the Kaioken. But you gotta remember, a lot of his time was spent on Snake Way and he only did about 3 months of training with King Kai. Here, he's done a full 12 months of training with good partners. And given his natural potential as a Saiyan and his Zenkais, I think this is a good place to put him. He's a little bit weaker than he was originally, but it's still very good, even without Kaioken. Piccolo's at 4,500, close behind, with Roshi at 3,500 surprisingly, being the third strongest. Behind him is Krillin at 3,200. With Tien reaching 3,000, Gohan actually reaching 2,600, which is about double where he was in the original story. Yamcha at 2,200, and Chaozu even gets to 1,000, which is pretty insane. There's more training partners on Earth, because Roshi and Goku are there too, and Piccolo's free now without having to teach Gohan. So the humans have 3 more effective training partners, all of whom are stronger than them. So they all see some very big improvements. And it's good that they improve this much, because now the 1 year has passed and the time to fight is here. They're able to find the 2 Saiyans, a large one named Nappa and a shorter one named Vegeta, who's apparently the prince, and they're ready to fight. As an appetizer, the Cybermen are sent out by Vegeta and Nappa, and this time, they're taken out pretty easily. Yamcha doesn't even die here. He's a lot more careful, and everyone's way stronger than the Cybermen except maybe Chaozu, but even he's close to the power of just one of them. So the Cybermen aren't really a big deal. Interesting, it seems that the Earthlings are actually a lot stronger than they thought, but those are just Cybermen, they're weaklings. Nappa's gonna be the real deal, so Nappa's sent out to fight them. Or so they think. Nappa does hold his own for a bit, but then begins losing ground really quick once the pace starts picking up. He doesn't even try to fight the others, he's mainly focused on Kakarot right now, which is kind of a big mistake because Goku's the strongest of the group, and he's stronger than Nappa. Getting kinda pissed off, he tries to distract Goku by throwing an attack at Gohan, who doesn't know what to do. He thinks quickly and jumps out of the way, and doesn't know how to counter the attack, so he just fires a Destructo Disc at random, hoping that it'll be enough to cut the attack in half. This creates some irony though, because the Destructo Disc ends up hitting Nappa's arm and slicing it clean off. You know, kinda like Nappa did when he fought Tien. Gohan's actually pretty shocked at his power, even though that attack is a really strong one. But he's surprised that his self-defense actually worked. It diverts the attack, and sends Nappa screaming. Nappa's still sorta okay, but he's even more pissed off now, and charges towards the group. In preparation, Gohan, Roshi, and Krillin all fire a Kamehameha, with Goku joining in as Nappa flies back towards him, a turtle school Kamehameha if you will. This launches Nappa up into the air, and he falls back to the ground, knocked out. Vegeta feels a mix of disappointment, shock, and embarrassment, and all these emotions cause him to just kill Nappa. If he couldn't handle an attack like that, well, he's not really of any use. He's just a weakling who can't even take on a low-class warrior like Kakarot. Vegeta's kind of impressed though with the group. He thought this would just be a slaughter fest, but this might actually make it interesting for him. Instead of casually flicking his wrist and killing everyone, he might actually have to try a bit, which is kind of fun. Vegeta is tough to take on, and he begins to launch towards the group. While Vegeta is stronger than any of them individually, they not only have a higher collective power, but they have strength in numbers. I mean, you have over half a dozen fighters facing Vegeta, and they're able to actually hold him back pretty well. But they won't be able to do any considerable damage unless they all find an opening to attack together. Roshi is also very keen to pick up on this, and is waiting for an opening. He has a specific attack that he wants to use that he knows will work for sure, but for now, he's fighting like normal like everyone else. He even breaks out an old technique that he hasn't really used much, his max power form, which makes him slower, but it does make him stronger. We don't know the exact multiplier for this, but I'm just gonna say it gives him about a 1.5 times boost in power. Not too much, but not too little, except he's slower. Vegeta realizes that he's not getting anywhere with this fight, and they're holding against him pretty well. So he tries a last ditch attack and throws a power ball in the sky. This cuts his power dramatically, but it means he could transform into a great ape. He looks up at it, and he begins to grow. He gets larger and larger, and then, suddenly, He feels a sharp pain and goes back to normal size before he can transform. He turns around and sees that his tail has been cut off by Krillin, who threw a Destructo Disc. It was some quick and smart thinking on his part, and it prevented the transformation from happening. Vegeta is a little bit weaker now because he used the Power Ball, but he's still able to fight, and he's pissed off now. He's succumbing to his anger and he begins launching a major attack and getting sloppy. And this seems like a shot for Roshi to use his attack. He would have done this to Vegeta while facing Nappa, but he couldn't because he had another giant Saiyan to take on in front of him. But now with no Nappa and Vegeta distracted, this is a good opportunity, where Vegeta is alone and kinda stationary. Roshi throws out a small bottle that he had with him, and when it's too late, Vegeta looks over and sees Roshi performing an attack, the Mafuba. Everyone looks over in surprise and sees what's happening, as Vegeta is lifted into the air and then placed in that container. Roshi quickly seals it up, and holds it down, then placing a seal on it. Yup, they actually have a seal, unlike a certain someone who forgot it. Oh, well, in the manga, I guess it was Roshi's fault, but that's besides the point. Point is, they seal him unlike they did to Zamasu. Is it actually over? It was that easy? They're a little beat up, but everyone's pretty much okay. Well, except Nappa, who's dead on the ground without an arm, and Vegeta, who's now inside a small bottle. They actually defeated the Saiyans. That went pretty smoothly. They all celebrate, and Roshi takes the small bottle that he has to Kami, who's gonna dispose of it somehow or store it away somewhere. It needs to be somewhere safe so that Vegeta doesn't escape. It's funny too because Goku probably wouldn't have even wanted to kill them anyways. This way, they're dealt with and he didn't have to do any of the dirty work. So this leads to something interesting. Without all the deaths, there's not going to be any Namek arc. Remember from the last part, Raditz never heard about the Dragon Balls, which means by extension, Nappa and Vegeta never did. And then by more extension, that means Frieza never did. So he's not going to go to Namek either. The Dragon Team doesn't even need to because, well, no one's dead. And they still have Dragon Balls on Earth. So Namek stays safe. And for the time being, Earth is pretty peaceful. That was pretty eventful, but now they could return back to their normal lives. Well, at least they think so. This is Dragon Ball after all. There's going to be a new villain eventually. But for the time being at least, everything's good. Everyone's alive. Yamcha even tries to patch things up with Bulma. Krillin and Roshi keep up with their training. Goku's with his family, and Gohan's even kind of motivated to train because he had fun with Roshi, and he does so in his free time with Goku, as well as Master Roshi and Krillin sometimes. Well, at least when Chi-Chi allows it. Hell, with all the peace going on, Goku and Chi-Chi even decide to have another kid. So you can expect Goten to show up pretty soon, a lot sooner than normal. But like I said, it's not going to be this peaceful for long. There's going to be a certain visitor from the future soon, as well as some new enemies. But when that happens and who that is, we'll have to wait until the next part to find that out. We're going to leave off here for now. So what did you guys think about this part? And what do you think will happen next? How do you think all these changes will affect the story as it goes on? Leave your thoughts, opinions, and suggestions in the comments below, and I'll be sure to check them out and see what you guys think. As usual, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like, and if you haven't already, why not subscribe to the channel, as well as hitting the bell icon for notifications about future parts of this What If, or any other videos I make like it. It will ensure you see the videos as soon as they come out. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.